There's a place, a school, an institution where a professor resides. One that for the past 30 years has traveled the world teaching others. A pioneer in America of the fighting science of Savate. One who codified the sports of this fighting style. One who has produced clubs, champions, and continues to develop. Listen to words of Professor Buitron.
Hope everybody else is doing well. We've been out of commission with these questions for a while. We're bringing them back in. We're not going to do them on every Monday. We're just going to be doing them when people send us some questions and important issues at bay, or what they have questions, whether it's from Savate or safety or security wise, or even awareness or self-defense in the street, all that good stuff about fighting or what have you. And I want to tell everybody that these videos are for educational purposes only. There's various opinions. Everybody is a master on the YouTube world, and everybody thinks a little bit different, has different opinions, and that's fine. To me, it doesn't matter. What I'm going to tell you all, is through the experience that I've had. And the experience that I've had in the past 30 plus years teaching the art of Savate, not only teaching it here in the United States, teaching it in France, Brazil, Mexico, and other countries. Dealing in my early years with insecurity, and yes, we all did security at clubs. We all bounced, if you want to put it that way. It happened. We did it when we were younger. It was part of growing up, I guess, within the martial arts. At that time frame, people expected you all to kind of do that. Either you fought in the ring, or you did some kind of vocation of that nature. I fought in the ring. Believe me, I had my entanglements in the street. So I'm coming to you all from an experience and my opinions of what I've seen, and what I've not only seen in Laredo, Texas, throughout the United States, and stuff that happens in other countries. Because number one, the streets are very violent, and people need to understand that. I keep reiterating this: is a man that is never trained before, never, is going to have a hard time to deal with a teenager that's enraged and is trying to hurt somebody. Going to have a very hard time. People that have trained in something are still going to have a hard time. You can see that with the issues that the police have against teenagers and how they're being taken care of, and the aggressiveness of that nature. Understand that. Also understand that your time in training, if you trained when you were 18 years old and now you're 54 years old and you've never done anything, you might think you know what you were taught in boot camp, what you were taught at special forces, what you were taught in hand-to-hand combat when you did military, or where you were a police officer. But if you're not practicing it, it's not going to be there. Let's get that out in there. Now, people say, who are you? Well, let me tell you a little bit about myself. And I don't want to be egoistical about it, but the truth is the truth. I was the first non-French to receive a professorate of Savate in France. I was the first American to receive a silver glove, the highest technical grade in France. I was a contender until I blew my hand, 1993 and 94. So I have a little bit of experience on that end for those that are questioning. Now, the question was, Professor, look at this fight, look at this video. And in about 3 weeks, I had a whole bunch of videos that people were sending me. There were, screenshots, or sending me through social media and so on and so forth. And I ended up with about, like a dozen or so. I'm going to pick the ones that I believe that people can look at and see mistakes that were done, and what you can do to avoid those mistakes in the street. Okay, and I'm going to look at my phone and I'm going to be talking to you about it. And of course, then I'm going to go ahead and place it up here on the first, the first one. Shows a guy in the corner, bald-headed white guy, and he's against two young black guys, and he's basically handling his own. You can tell that he probably had some kind of training in the past. How do I say that? Because he keeps the same stance. He has his guards up semi to what happens to people that trained and have not been training, and their guard goes from here to here. So they're in their mind, they can still do the technique, but physically they're not able to perform at what their mind is telling them. Overall, he did very well. People underestimate one thing about the street, and that is that when you get in a fight, you have to understand how to punch, how to strike, how to kick, where to strike. Everybody wants to go to the ground fine and dandy. I think Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I think Greco-Roman wrestling, I think all the grappling arts are beautiful. But they're meant for their own space and time. In the street, be careful, because once you go down, you can develop something else which is known as a frenzy, or what we call here in Laredo, el baño. People are going to come on down there and they're going to shoe shine you. Doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to go to the next one, which is I'm going to cover it up. I'm just going to put the shots there. Why? Because it's two girls that you can tell that they've been drinking. They're fighting on a curb. Their dress is all over the place. There's another girl that comes back when they're trying to separate them and hits them. Again, what I say, you go to the ground, their friend's going to come down and it's going to kick you and hit you. That's just the way it goes. And people need to understand that. Everybody wants to claim that I can take you to the ground and I can beat you up in the ground. Maybe in a room by yourself that's padded, that can occur. In the street, it's a total different world. Why? Because let me put it to you in this example. I'm out with my crew having a beer someplace. I go to a bathroom and come back, and there's a guy that's beating up one of my guys, and he's on the ground. Guess what's going to happen to that guy? I'm going to kick him right across the head. All right? And if I have a club or a bar stool or something, something's going to impact him. Understand the danger about that. I'm saying this because I've seen it. And believe me, if I had to, I would do that. Understand this. The important part about a street altercation is who goes home. Period. Who goes home. People want to make it's a samurai against a samurai, and I'm going to pull out. It doesn't happen that way. Okay? One of the most famous gun battles, gunfights in the United States was the OK Corral. It lasted seconds. Seconds. And one of them had a shotgun and they all carried shotguns, as they're saying, and they were already drawn. Okay? It wasn't like gun smoke that they half in the street and the other guy walks a little bit more and they turn around and they both draw to see which one was fastest. It didn't happen that way. Well, enough of talking about that. Let's go to the next video, because the next one is something that I want people to understand. A fight can happen anywhere at any time. So number one thing that you have to know in self-defense is awareness. Be aware of your surroundings. This is an example of an ambush. This is an example that this was planned. Why do I say it was planned? Because somebody's videotaping it and putting it on social media. It was to prove a point. There's a young black man that's on the counter about to pay, and you have another black man that comes in from the side of him, from the back, and cold cocks him. Cold cocks him and knocks him out cold. on the floor. You have somebody else filming. You have another guy there trying to figure out what's going on. They wait until the guy leaves to help him. This was a planned attack. Folks, jealousy runs amok in our society. Why do I say that? They might not like the shoes that you wear. They might not like the clothes that you wear. They might not like the car that you drive. So somebody's going to try to take that away and make your life miserable. That occurs. There's no ifs, buts, or ors. So they train for that. Like I said again, a man, I'm talking 18 years above, if they have not trained, they're going to have a hard time to beat a 16, 15, or 14-year-old or a 17-year-old teenager. Believe me. I was a 16-year-old that was popping around 27-year-olds. All right? And that's been witnessed by others. Why? Because of some karate BS that occurred back then, and people started, I can beat you up kind of stuff. Anyway, that's a long story. Now, let's keep on going down with how it is, how you prepare yourself. Number one, awareness, especially in the past video. And we're going to go down the line on which one else. The next one, young black guy with a white guy, and they're pointing at each other. I want you to take a look at the young black guy, the way he's coming. He's showing, I'm going to kick, I'm going to hit you, I'm going to go after you. We're in a fight. He's showing that. His posturing is showing that. The danger of this point is that you have two girls on the side. Those two girls on the side, believe me, if you hit that kid that's in the middle, that young black man that's in the middle, if you strike him for whatever reason, whether he came at you or you had to defend yourself, believe me, those two girls are going to jump you. That's a danger part of this. The percentage of those two girls is very high that they were going to jump you. Okay? Now, he did right. He kept on going back, keeping himself aware of the situation. Why? Because they can come at you and that girl hits you, and all of a sudden now, what? You have three people attacking you. Escalates the situation. Now, talking about the guy, the way he was coming down, his hands were ready. He was trying to do some kind of Philly shell boxing guard kind of thing. But look at his legs. I'm a saboteur. I'm going to take your legs. That leg would have been gone. Believe me, his leg would have been gone and his groin would have not been there. He would be singing soprano. You have to remember, as a saboteur, we look at the legs, how the legs are coming at you. And if it's in that position, those legs will be the first thing that's going to be struck. I was taught that way. I've seen it. I've done it. Take it by experience. But when you get into this situation that you have two girls and one guy, believe me, those girls were going to come jump at you. That's a very dangerous situation that you have. There's other people that are filming. Remember, you hit a girl out there, people are going to post that you hit a girl. Very dangerous situation. Folks, this video is only for educational purposes only. These are my opinions through the experiences that I have had. Not saying this is what needs to be done. There's many keys to unlock all these little puzzles that are going through here, okay? Let's go to the next one. The next one, you can tell they're either Mexico or some place in South America. You can tell that these guys are fit. You can tell that both of them have had training in some form or another. Maybe they're police officers, maybe what's up. The way they're standing, the way they're keeping their stances, the way they're moving. This to me was a fair fight, okay? Probably they had crossed some words, probably one passed the other guy in the bike. Who knows whatever happened here. But to me, that was a fair fight. That's the way it should be done. I can't say who won because they cut it off. But it seems to me that the guy in the black was the one that was leading the charge. The other guy was coming in. Enough of that. That to me is just two guys that have had some training along the way. And they demonstrated it by their stances. Okay, now to the next one. The next one is a couple of guys, wild punches, no guards, all of them are drunk. They're falling over. Why? Because their pants are half on their knees. You can tell that there's a guy in the floor before the video goes on, so you don't know whatever happened to him. But you have a couple of knockouts. The guy in the yellow is doing pretty good. He gets hit by himself. The guy in the white shirt with black, he was throwing. So you can tell these guys have been around the block a couple of times in fights. Can they fight? No. Will they fight? Yes. So understand that this happens every Friday night, every Saturday night, every Sunday night after a game. This type of occurrence is going to occur somewhere around the world. Why? Because of liquid courage. They start drinking. They believe something happened. Probably because some girl passed by. Who knows now? Get somebody else. But it's funny to see how it's going. You know, they're stumbling over each other's feet. And one guy, they're kind of, you can't hear what it says because it was saying there's a guy laying down there. To me, this is, as a bouncer, as a security of a club, you want this to be outside the club. You don't want it to be inside the club. So the security did a good job throwing them outside. Let the police deal with it. That's all I can say. Let's go on next to the next one. The next one is from Laredo. Seems to be right after a game. And one guy is going to fight the other. He throws a wild punch. Guy stumps, comes back, hits him. Guy goes down. Like I told you, you go down, they're going to stomp you. They stomped him. They shoe shined him. They gave him un bañito. They gave him a baño right there. They showered him with hits. And that's just the way it is. The guy's still laying down there trying to figure out what happened. You know, they got the license plate of the truck. But now they're burning a Prescott jersey. Anyway, folks, let's dissect everything into one. I do not condone fighting, but I also do not condone cowardice. If you need to defend yourself, you better learn how to defend yourself. I'm not telling you that you're capable of defending yourself. You just have to learn how to defend yourself. Why? People are training. People are training everywhere. Okay? Most people are going to some kind of kickbox class. They're going to come at you. They're going to kick you because that's what they're learning. They're doing some Krav Maga course there that in 6 weeks you're going to be John Wick. And guess what's going to happen? They're going to come at you that way. Stick to your basic arts. Stick to them. Understand what they're for. If there's no savate, do Thai boxing. If there's no Thai boxing, do boxing. If there's no boxing, do Kempo. Preferably Parker Kempo or Gaja Kempo. If there's none of those, do BJJ. That's how I'll take it. There's a lot of martial arts out there that deal with empty hands, deal with blades, and so on and so forth. Now, if you want to learn how to use a weapon, if Eskrima, they'll be fine to teach you weapons. Silat will teach you weapons. But understand that besides the weapons, you need to have some unarmed pugilistic arsenal behind you. I go back to boxing. Savate, Thai boxing. Learn it. I shy away from the grappling, but even though you have to understand it, not for you to use it in the street, but for you to be able to use it against people that are doing it. Because there's a lot more people doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu than they are doing Savate. There's a lot more people doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu than they're doing Thai boxing. There's a lot more people doing. Understand what I'm getting at? So you have to know the enemy that's out there because that's what they're training for. Remember, street fighters, thugs, those with a criminal mindset, they're going to be learning that. Guess what? Guess what happens when you go to jail? You're going to be training there. Some of the biggest mothers, sidewalk thumpers that come out of jail, they don't come out of a gym. They come out of the penitentiary. Some of the baddest fighters, street fighters, come out of jail after they went in not knowing how to fight. Why? Because you have to know how to fight when you're inside. It's, there's some prison systems there. There's 52 blocks, there's Jailhouse Rock, there's The Rock, so there's several systems that are practiced in there. Okay? Now, what should you do? Let's say you're looking for a martial arts school. Try them all out. Go to the school. Talk to the instructor. Find out where they're from. What they're doing. Sometimes people are confused. They want to learn self-defense, but they really want to learn how to fight. Okay? If you take them to a tournament school that does point karate, and you're trying to tell them to fight in the ring, you're doing something wrong. It's not going to happen. You have to know that different schools are meant for different things. Some of them are straightforward babysitting services. And you have to take it as that. And if a father and a mother want to pay $400 or $500 to take care of little Billy, don't believe that little Billy's black belt's going to do anything to him when little Billy's out on a date when he's 15, 16 years old. It ain't going to happen. So understand the martial arts school that you're going to. Is it a fad martial arts school? See, most people don't know. Ask them. My number one question, ask the instructor, when was the last time you used it? If they come out with some answer that you have to find yourself, tell them, nice to meet you, out the door. Okay? You want to learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Go for it. There's a lot of schools that teach that. But upon that, learn how to use your hands. A lot of schools don't teach you how to use that. See, a lot of people teach you how to punch and kick, how to strike, but they don't teach you why. And the why is the hardest thing to find in the martial arts school. Why am I doing this? What's it for? Believe me, if I punch you in the face, I'm going to cut you. I learned how to do that. I'm going to eliminate the threat. Okay? So I want my students to do the same thing. I'm going to teach them to be capable of defending themselves and to protect themselves and their loved ones. Because that's what it's for. That's what you're going for martial arts school for. Remember what I'm going to say again. The average man will have a hard time fighting a teenager off if that teenager's in range. Okay? Plain and simple. So with that being said, thank you for the questions. Thank you for following us. I know there's a lot of other content out there. There's a lot of other people out there. We're just here to let other folks know, kind of educate them in different ways. If you want to do Savate, fine. If you don't want to do Savate, fine. To me, I tell this to people. People that do Savate are men, women, and children, except those that don't want to learn. A lot of people ask me, do you have an online class? Yes, we do. We have memberships for the curriculum here through YouTube, but you can get them. It's not that expensive. And remember, make time, go train, make it steady, set goals. Again, make time, go train, and set goals. And you're going to learn. Until next time, much peace.